Okay, so in this match, we're going to take a look at unit cycling and army composition. Well, kind of army composition. As I've said in a previous video, if you're in the early game, right, you can only have so many units. It's the way the mechanics work is that your cities can only supply up to 5 units, I believe. And therefore, if you build more units than your supply capability, they then start to take attrition, like as if they're being encircled, and then they just die off. So you're just wasting money at that point. What you're going to see here, right, is that in the southern front, the battle is going to be decided there. And right off the bat, I'm thinking to myself, all right, do I want to focus on the north or the south? And I make the decision to focus on the south, in which case there's this very small plains area where tanks can maneuver and fight effectively. So I decide that I'm going to build one tank. And that basically comes down to it. I build one extra tank, and my opponent is not going to be able to keep up with just that one extra unit. Now, my opponent is actually quite good at the game. He knows all the basic fundamentals and he knows how to cycle these units. And you're going to see him actually juggle around a lot of cycling across the entire his entire army basically, which is a little bit to his detriment because he takes a lot of time trying to cycle from his cities in the back line, whereas I usually just don't really do that because I've got a mountain range in between here, especially with my tanks. There's no point in trying to cycle it that far. By the time they go there, come back, it could easily have shifted the balance of power on the front line, and I'd be toast. So right now, off the bat, we are just typical opening stalemate. We've got a couple of clashes going on in the south here, a couple of trades going on. I do quite well in the trade department later on. Right now, I am suffering. Oh wait, no, I am actually doing all right here. Yeah, yeah, I'm doing all right. Okay, so there's my first tank. The tank that just spawned in the south there. That's the guy that's gonna win the game, basically. So I've got 4 tanks now in the south. He's only going to have his 3. He doesn't bring his northernmost tank over down, and he doesn't build another tank. At least that's how I recall it. I've only watched the replay once at like a sped up pace, and I only just played it a few minutes ago. So might as well just go with what I have now. Um, yeah, unit cycling. You're gonna see me cycle the light units a lot, especially from the cities in the middle line. And my opponent is going to start a northern offensive, I think around the 5, 6 minute mark or something like that. Something happens on that side. Um, okay, so we got some more cycling going on here. He's bringing units from the back cities over forward. I'll speed it up just a little bit. Okay, so now I pull off some units. He actually pulled off a unit from his northern sector earlier. I didn't commentate on that. And I was doing the math, looking up and down the line, and I figured, oh, wait a minute, I actually can afford to bring one extra dude down here. So that's what I'm doing. Right, so tanks have taken quite a lot of casualties. We're pulling them back. I can't afford to put them all in the city. Only put one dude there, but it'll suffice. He's taken a lot of casualties as well, so I'm not too worried. I know that I'm doing quite well in the trade department. So if I'm hurting, he's hurting. Don't need to worry too much about that. Keeping an eye on the north there. He's gonna do some strategic redeployment in just a minute or two here. I almost lose this tank unit that's like slightly out in the bulge in the southern front there. Um, just needed to do a little bit more careful maneuvering to get him out, extract him out of that situation there. Um, Speed it up a little bit. Now I'm doing what he does, cycling the light units, because the light units don't have any penalty, well, unless they're on sand, they don't have any movement penalties across forests or hills. So we can afford to do this. A little bit of juggling here and there, getting fresh units onto the front line. He's doing the same, so it's basically still a stalemate here. But as I said just now, my 4th tank unit is going to come in clutch here. Now this is gonna go on for another like 4 or 5 minutes or so. So now he starts doing his redeployment. He figures he can't break the stalemate here, so he's redeploying to the north, and he's gonna get the initiative. I don't really react much. I figured that my one reserve unit in the northern city is going to be enough to cycle. It's not enough to cycle. I needed at least an extra one dude, but it is what it is. Here comes the attack. We put our tank to his tank in the northern front over here. And yeah, we just wait to see what happens. On the south here, we have an advantage now numerically. He's taking a lot of time to cycle. And we're keeping our reserve units in the south here. Okay, there we go. Now that I see that we have a slight opportunity, we shuffle things around. And then what happens here is that we just decide to stop the fighting. We have a little truce and we rebuild our units. Now this is to my advantage because I've got 4 tank units. He still only has 3. And I don't think he's quite realized that because we've been cycling that 4th tank unit front and back. Now, here's an interesting thing that he does. He has this one light infantry unit in the middle go up and down and like a guard route kind of thing. And I'm not entirely sure why he did that. I didn't notice this when I was playing the game. I didn't know that there was a dude that's like running up and down here. I'm assuming this is like a deception tactic to try and make it look like he's cycling units from the north and south. Well, the problem is that this doesn't work because I'm not even paying attention. I didn't even know that there was this movement going on. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not that concerned because I can see most of his units already, right? And I can see how many units are on the board because the game tells you the troops in the bottom right and the casualties in the bottom left. I don't think it's like that useful. I don't think you can art of war your way out of that one by using a tactic like that. But that's just what I've observed and what happened in this game. Maybe somebody else out there might have luck on a different map. So, our truce in the south has expired and we've gone all in. So he now knows, I'm pretty sure he now knows that I've got 4 tank units, but it's a little bit too late for him to do anything about it. My economy is in a better position than his, although I think he's built at least 2 to 3 light units to my 1 tank. I might be slightly wrong about that, but things been happening. We reach another stalemate in the south here. Keep on cycling the units. In the north, we start taking casualties. I'm not paying too much attention to Michael to the north, and I do know I lose at least a couple of light units. Trying my best to cycle the units to and fro. I decided not to bring the tank unit back to the city just because it's going through the forest. I figured it take too long to get through. Might as well better to just use it for light infantry to recoup in the city and whatnot, and also to get rid of upkeep cost by having a unit in the city. Now we're using the middle city here to cycle light infantry units as well. So we've done a pretty good job in the north here because he's concentrated a lot more forces and we've held our own. And as I said at the start, the south is where it's going to end up being decided. We are still in a stalemate position. Our tanks are taking a lot of casualties. His tanks are actually looking in a far better position strength-wise. So we're just gonna have to hope something happens. Shuffle around the units, do a little micro, and then here, right there, pulling out that one light infantry unit without having the cycling units in position basically cost it in the game because now we've got 3 units stacked up on a city, and there. That basically is the victory right there. That one mistake of pulling out that one light unit. Um, Seals the deal. And here you can see the power of cities once you switch a frontline city over. We have far superior power projection over here. And even though like the position itself hasn't like really fundamentally changed, he's still got his backline cities all here. The way the game mechanics work is that right there, that's how easy it is to encircle everyone once you switch the frontline city into your favor, and there's nothing much you can do about it. And that's the game, basically. He calls it quits there, and it was a very hard fought game. Yep, came down to just 1 tank unit, and yeah, my mistake that I did here was that I knew I was suffering losses, which meant that I should have known that I could have built more units, but I didn't. I floated a lot of resources at the end there. That's something I'm gonna have to improve on. Is that once the game goes on for this long, and I am suffering casualties, I can afford to build more units without having to run the risk of having them out of supply and attrit. due to PopCap. But yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.